I'd like you to picture Thomas Edison, tinkering away by himself, inventing the modern light bulb. Or Jonas Salk, working tirelessly, alone in his laboratory, creating the polio vaccine. Or even Albert Einstein, sitting in a secluded basement patent office, quietly theorizing about special relativity. It's a romantic notion, right? Well, I'm here to tell you that that is the old paradigm. You see, science, and especially biomedical science, has grown so vast and complex that it can no longer be driven by one person alone. Not in a laboratory, and most definitely not in a basement office. In fact, since 2020, nearly all of the Nobel Prizes in the sciences, which includes physics, chemistry, physiology, or medicine, have gone to collaborators. These groundbreaking prizes recognize the discovery of new touch and temperature receptors, the CRISPR gene editing system, AI-driven protein structure prediction, and many, many other highly technical and highly relevant discoveries. And can you believe only once in that time period, the Nobel Prize went to a solitary scientist? Today, progress depends on collaboration, deep, diverse, and fast-moving collaboration. And that means that it needs all of us. It needs doctors and scientists and technologists and data scientists and you. You, whose health data and genetic information are really now the essential fuel driving the innovations and biomedical discoveries of tomorrow. Pooling data from thousands of volunteers like you, thousands and thousands, large-scale population studies like the NIH's All of Us study based here in the US, have already begun to identify new biomarkers and genetics for diseases such as Alzheimer's, certain cancers, heart disease, and diabetes. Open data sharing platforms, such as Patients Like Me, allow individuals with rare conditions to directly contribute their information to researchers to better understand symptoms and potential treatments, speeding diagnoses and even repurposing drugs. So discoveries and diagnoses like these are happening every day in real time, thanks to your contributions. I've always had the pleasure of working at the interdisciplinary and collaborative edges of science. I'm a neuroscientist turned neurogeneticist and then bioinformatician. I then combined that background with a business degree to better translate lab innovations to real-world impact, and always with a focus on advancing personalized medicine. I've had the unique opportunity to help diagnose patients with rare diseases, to help profile tumors to better inform therapies, and even compile massive genomic data sets for drug target discovery. But none of that would be possible without participation from patients, their families, and everyday people like you. Now, I'd like to tell you a story about why collaboration, including your participation, is truly the essential element that will drive tomorrow's biomedical breakthroughs. Recently, a scientific team of teams, if you will, worked together to save a little boy's life, and in the process, absolutely transformed how we see and think about personalized medicine. Within 2 days of birth, KJ, which is a nickname, not his real name, was lethargic and not eating. Thankfully, the medical team at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia sprang to action, performing rapid whole genome sequencing to test for over 6,000 different diseases at once. They were able to identify a single mutation in a gene, CPS1, which meant that KJ had a severe metabolic disorder. Without treatment, he would require a dangerous liver transplant or wouldn't survive. Now, what happened next is nothing short of absolutely revolutionary. For the first time ever, scientists were able to create a personalized and potentially curative gene editing therapy tailored to KJ's unique mutation. Let me explain how they did this. They first had to design a custom CRISPR gene editor, engineer a lipid nanoparticle to deliver it, run preclinical studies for safety, work with regulators on expedited reviews, and then in only over 6 months, began dosing KJ with a medicine that selectively corrected that mutation in his liver cells. Within the first dose, KJ began showing signs of recovery. And within just 3 doses, he was discharged. A smiling, chubby-cheeked baby with a second chance at life. Amazing. Now, as you can hear, this monumental effort was only possible because of seamless collaboration between teams of experts in medical genetics, bioinformatics, drug development, gene editing, and many more. And importantly, you. Without access to genetic information from thousands of patients and volunteers, it simply would not have been possible to identify KJ's unique disease-causing mutation in just a matter of hours. And that's because we all harbor millions of genetic mutations or variations in our genome of over 3 billion pairs of A's, T's, G's, and C's. So identifying one of these mutations where some are shared, some are unique, and the vast majority are benign or safe, identifying that one disease-causing one out of those millions is a true needle-in-a-haystack problem. And it relies on searching databases of both known safe and disease-causing variation. Of course, the more data in these databases, the better we're able to quickly identify the disease-causative culprit from the millions of other possibilities. For KJ, this meant that that team of doctors and scientists were able to move from symptoms to diagnosis to treatment in just over 6 months. An absolutely remarkable feat that typically takes years if it's achieved at all. We are living in a time of science at hyperspeed. And that is why your involvement today matters. Because this shift from lone genius to team science isn't just because collaboration is nice to do. It's because it's necessary. The tools that we now have at our disposal, from DNA sequencing to electronic medical records and even wearables, generate just massive amounts of biological information. And to make sense of it, and to use it to help people, we need large-scale population involvement. And guess what? Many of you are likely already participating in this research, even if you don't know it. If you have ever done 23andMe or are part of an integrated health network, if you've ever worn a Fitbit or an Apple Watch or an Oura Ring, or if you have donated blood or had tissue removed as part of a medical procedure, you may already be part of the research that is driving the discovery of tomorrow's medicines and diagnostics. Studies using large-scale anonymized patient and public health data are already discovering non-invasive biomarkers of many diseases, leading to entirely new categories of screening tests, diagnostics, and monitoring tools. With this approach, we're even able to test the effectiveness of popular new drugs like the GLP-1s for different bodies and backgrounds. But I want you to see yourself not as a passive, anonymous subject in all of this, but as a citizen scientist, a vital collaborator in the process, someone with agency and with purpose in this incredibly exciting moment in history. You have the opportunity to raise your hand and participate in the research that may save a baby like KJ's in this next era of hyperscale and yet exquisitely personalized science. You can say yes to consenting to share your medical data or remnant tissue samples as part of a research study. You can say yes to consenting to opt in to share your genetic information or wearables data for research use. And you can say yes to volunteering to be part of any one of a number of these very large population studies happening around the world today. Now, I know some of you are probably picturing scenes from the movie Gattaca, where genetic information is used for some dystopian future of discrimination. But I do want to assure you of two critical things today. First, there are already laws and robust protections in place to guard against genetic discrimination. Second, these studies are not taking your data without consent. They're inviting you to be part of the conversation. You're empowered to shape the very ethics that guide these studies, to advise on how your data is used and shared, and even to contribute ideas on how to best communicate these discoveries to a broader audience. There are nearly 100 of these population-scale research programs happening all over the world today, from the NIH's All of Us study here in the US, to Our Future Health across the pond in the UK, even to the Qatar Genome Program, and many, many, many more, giving you the unique chance to participate in one of the most exciting times in biomedical research and innovation since the invention of the microscope. Because the science of tomorrow, hyperspeed, hyperscale, and deeply collaborative, needs all of us to move it forward. So, what's at stake? Everything. From early detection to personalized cures, you could be the key to saving a life. Perhaps a baby like KJ, possibly a loved one, or maybe your own. Thank you.